It's Chloe to Move, Say the Victory Roll. How's everybody doing today? Amazing, I hope. It is another video from your older than average YouTuber here on the YouTubes. And it's Monday, so that means Monday by the decade, and we are up to the 1950s. Got my hair ready. If you want to know a little bit about the 1950s makeup style and what was going on in makeup and the look we create, you're in the right place. And you know what you need to do? You need to keep on watching. Here we are, finally back. I know it's been a hot minute since I've done this, but there's been a lot going on. So here we are, 1950s, and then again, we're back to talking about makeup, what the styles were back then, and doing a look. And so let's go. So the age of makeup in the 1950s was classified as the golden age, and then it was for the first time unknown models were becoming popular, maybe even more so popular than the Hollywood icons that were known for the beautiful makeup. In Britain, Gala of London marked a real sense of haute couture to their makeup. However, when conjuring up 1950s makeup, it's difficult not to see the faces of glamorous post-war beauty icons. And of course, you know, we've got ourselves Elizabeth Taylor, Natalie Wood, Marilyn Monroe, Grace Kelly, Audrey Hepburn, Doris Day, and Ava Gardner, and plus. So many amazing actresses in the 1950s. So the 1950s was a pretty glamorous decade. We just started having cream foundations, and shadows were the in thing. And it was the era of what was called the mask effect. So a thick, creamy application of foundation and flesh-colored powders to set. Eyebrows still had a natural look, but with more tapered and feminine. Rouges were less emphasized than in the 1940s, and if there was a color to define the 1950s, it was pink. Pink hues and shadows and reddish pink lipsticks. So again, foundation was a creamy ivory base, cream or liquid foundation near to natural skin color. Powders, brushed on a flesh-colored powder to set. Eyes, subtle shades on the lid, tapered out to shimmering pale brow. Eyeliner, the wing effect came popular in the 1950s. So like in pinup, we always do a winged eye, even if we were doing victory rolls and stuff. The winged eye is still popular, even though it was, yes, more of a 1950s things. If lashes were applied, they were subtle and only to the upper lashes. Rouges were pastel and rose colors, and it was to the apple of the cheeks. And lips, many tutorials advise creating a smile effect with lipstick. So there we go. And then mascara was from brand leaders such as Maybelline, and it was apparently an important thing to have in your handbag, though it wasn't until the 1960s that women applied it to the lower lash line again, as in the 1920s. It says there were lots of new patents in the 1950s, like eyelash curlers and eyebrow stencils to help you achieve the eyelash look. And like in current time, we've got things like lash lifts. Oh, I love a good lash lift. Brow lamination. The cat eye liner, or the wing tip, which defines the current retro pinup look, was a simple innovation, added real glamour to girls' eyes, and was often preferred by women to a heavy eyeshadow look. I kind of like both, but here we are. 1950s makeup products. So for current, if you want real good reproduction makeup, of course, Besame Cosmetics is the way to go. They do makeup from 1910s to 1970s, and it was founded by Gabriela Hernandez. And the packaging is always beautiful. I was tempted to order lipstick just because they changed up some of the lipstick packaging to have one of the new ones, but I have way too much lipstick. And another thing that was happening in the 1950s was skin improvement cosmetics. So besides face paint, you were trying to find things that were preserving your youth. And then the ruling shades of the 50s were pink lipstick replaced the reds for a time as the color of choice, especially among younger women. So Audrey Hepburn once declared she believed in pink. And who could argue with Audrey? A much heavier makeup look for the face was in order with liquid foundations and a loose powder appearing on dressing tables again. The eyeshadow look of this decade was much more minimal than in previous decades. Eyeshadows now containing shimmer and a huge palette of colors. Revlon produced eyeshadow palettes with 2 or 3 shades to create a specific look. A soft but definite eyeline and eyebrows slightly darker than the shade was the natural. And then I'll have some I should have had some pictures showing some beautiful, lovely ladies from the 1950s applying their makeup. So there we go. Let's get started. So I think what I'm going to do, because it's a simple eye look today, we are going to start with our base. So for base, I'm using LYS. It's a serum foundation. Most of the ones that I have open aren't very heavy, so we may not have the more caked on look. And then I'm just going to be, which I don't think was a thing wasn't a thing at the time, but I am going to put some of my LYS primer on as well. I didn't bring my concealer. I have been using concealer, but it is, again, not something that was, as far as I know, or I've seen anywhere, used in the 50s. So we are going to try as best we can, but I want my makeup to last. So for me, a makeup primer is always the way to go. And then if I need to, on the spots where I normally put a concealer, which are some of my little age spots here, I could put a little bit more foundation on. So there we go. So for eyeshadow palettes today, I did a crazy review of the Beauty Moon and Wilma Fingerdew palette, and I did a very colorful look. If you want to see me being absolutely silly, playing the 80s Valley Girl, it is up on my page. But we're going to do, we're going to use the neutrals in here because there were some neutrals in this palette. So we are going to use them. And then for pink blushes, since pink was the color, we're going to be using my current favorite one, which is from P. Louise. And I'm going to go against the norm of pink lips, and I'm going to do red because I have a Max Factor had brought out a few years ago the color that they used for Marilyn Monroe. So I have that there. So I thought we could use that for 1950s. So there we go. I am primed and ready. And now we can put on a little bit of foundation. This one is pretty buildable, so you can put it on very lightly to be a serum-y foundation. But you can, if you use a slightly heavier hand, can make a more heavier opaque look with it. This is one of my favorite foundations. I'm using up all the foundations that I have open, and then I think I have like one that isn't open that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to make my final decision of a inexpensive serum foundation, a mid-range foundation, and maybe a heavier foundation. So it's probably 3 that I'm probably going to have. I think the Ordinary LYS, and I think my last one, maybe ZZ. So I think those are the 3 that have been outlying favorites, as long as I can keep getting the one from The Ordinary, as they had discontinued it a few years ago and then they brought it back for a limited run. I don't know how limited that run is, so if they put out in the next 3 months or 4 months that they will be discontinuing it again, I might get I got one as a backup, but I might get a couple more just in case, because I really do quite like it. And it's very affordable. Our first layer on, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to to get it slightly heavier, and to cover hopefully a little bit more of my red. And age spots, I will use a little bit more. She went to a vintage market yesterday, picked up some more vintage lady heads. If you want to see them, they're on my Instagram. I swear these things are following me at this point. But that's all I bought though. No. Try not to start any new collections. I have my Lucille Ball collection. I have my Ladyheads, and I'm looking for one more piece of chalkware if I can find a mermaid that I like. But other than that, my chalkware is done too. Because my bathroom is pretty much all chalkware. All right, so there we go. We have our base on. And then for powder, I don't really have any neutral powders anymore. I have translucent, and then I have lavender powders. So, but it is a loose powder, so we are going to go with that, and we're going to pop that on. Yeah, I really love watching a lot of the movies from the 1950s too. 40s and 50s, some really great movies. You know, I loved Cary Grant and Marilyn Monroe and all of the actresses of the day. I think that's what I might do later. I think I'm going to have a lazier day today, and because I was out all day yesterday, and then when I came home, I was putting away all my stuff. I got a new kidney shaped coffee table, so I was setting everything up. So I was pretty busy yesterday. And I want to enjoy a little bit of my weekend and do nothing besides doing this video. So I think my afternoon is going to be movies. So maybe I might do some classic films. I have a whole whack of Cary Grant movies, so I haven't watched a whack of those in a while, so I could do that. Then I have a few other box sets like Betty Davis, Age. Alrighty, so there we go. We got our base on. Not super mask-like, but we've got foundation on, and it's a cream foundation, so that's what they said was a thing. So now for blushes, they were talking about pink and then to the apples of the cheeks. I've been liking doing the more of the 1930s one, which was covering more of your face. I've been really liking doing that, but for today we will do a apples one. And then I have all of these beautiful shades here. I'm going to try and do something that would probably be classified more as a classic pink. So I probably want to stick in these three. So I think I'm going to do this one on the end. Got myself a nice fluffy blush brush, and then we're going to do that. So as we've been going along here, have you been having a favorite decade so far? Do you have a specific style of makeup that you like to wear? I will be doing another 80s, when I get to the 80s video, I'll probably use the Wilma palette again because it does have that very 80s vibe. So I'm quite liking it. And then of course they're saying that it wasn't too heavy of a blush, so we will just make sure that we blend it really nice here. So now for the apples, it usually will give you a fuller face. If you want a more snatched and up, of course, you know, you're going to do it higher up. But as you get older, you start to lose your cheeks a little bit too. So I don't mind having a little bit of plump cheeks. So, and there we go. So now highlighter wasn't a thing, but I'm thinking I might, like, or was sort of thing. Marilyn used a bit of like a white, so I think I might do that because there's a good white in Wilma and the Beauty Moon palette. So there we go. So we've got ourselves some blush on, nicely made our apples nice and blushy. So now for brows, I'm just going to use a brow gel. They didn't mention if it was pencils or whatever. They were just talking about a natural but kind of defined eyebrow. So instead of coloring it in, because we want natural, we're going to use my brow gel, even though it has a little bit of a tint to it. And this one is from, I never remember the name of this brand. This is from Guilty Cosmetics. So there we go. And then grab, and I know they had these little brushes at the time, so we're gonna go in and off we go. Again, remember this is just me doing modern, kind of a modern take, I guess, a little bit, because we are using modern makeup, and I don't pluck eyebrows. I've always, like, even if I've did clean them up a little bit, I've always kept them to my natural shape. I never did the crazy 90s where you got them plucked really thin and then can't grow them back, and I already have enough trouble growing brows in, never mind tweaking them other than the unibrow and, you know, little extra hairs here and there. But there we go, it's natural, but yet it is defined. So there we go. Some of them have them, which I can do too, will have a little bit of an arch to them, so mine do go up a little bit like so, and then I can bring it down a little bit like so if I wanted and get a little bit of an arch. But as you can see, I have slightly sparser lashes on the outer edge there. So there we go. We're going to leave lips till last because I don't want to take a chance of smearing all over. I know this wasn't a thing, eye primer, but I am going to sneak on my P. Louise here because I do, even if I'm not doing anything, I want my makeup to last all a day. So just use a little bit of that. I would think that back in the day, I wouldn't be surprised, especially just to like match your whole, you know, your whole face, that people didn't use foundation on the eyelid. So I think I did that in the 80s or 90s. I had put a little bit on there just to make my whole face more matchy, because I have always been prone to having a little bit red in my skin. But instead of using foundation totally, we're going to use a little bit sticky primer. Alrighty, so here we've got the Wilma palette here. So they were saying how Revlon was it would do a 3 shade eyeshadow palette. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these two neutrals here, and then we're going to use a shimmer, and I'm either going to use Makeup Party, which is a peachy one, or I'm going to use a Celebration. And then this is what I thought I could use for a little bit of highlight just on the cheeks a little bit. Remember when Besame did their Marilyn collection, which I wish I did pick up, but you know, hindsight. And I remember in their palette, and it was I think pricey at the time, that they had a white highlighter in there, but I think it might have been a cream one. So we're just going to add a little white because I know that was done at the time. And there we go. I think I might have had a little bit of shimmer left from my last makeup look, so it does look a little shimmery, that's why. But there we go, a little white. Okay, so we're on to our eyes. So looking at the photo that I'm going to use for inspiration, which one am I going to use? They do have this here. This is the natural 1950s look, and it was saying, hold on, let me go here, eyebrows shaped into an arch. So that's like I was saying, you could do that, and darkened with, oh, it says with pencil. So there we go, I didn't read that before. Eyes, mascara, and liner on top. Lash liner extended past the crease with an uptick. So again, you could do the winged out look, shadow and colors to match the eyes or the outfit. I'm not doing a black one, and I'm doing neutral, or I could do green. Cheeks, very light rouge on upper. Here it says upper cheekbone, and the other thing says apples, so I put it on the apples, but I guess it's supposed to be the natural look. And lips, natural with soft rounded shape from center to crease, red, pink, or coral. So that was that photo there. But I think I'm going to go a little bit more like, ooh, could either do this. This is really nice. So I'm going to do a red lip. I think this is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to do a nice neutral with a little bit of shimmer, and then I'm going to give myself a winged out look. And then of course we're doing the red lip. So I think that's the look we're going to do. The other photo that I was looking at that I thought I could use is this one here, and it's like a colored version, but it's the same thing. This is sort of kind of what my hair was modeled after. So again, with the red lip, a little bit of a winged eye, neutral pink cheek. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And then this one also, she had her blush more on her cheek. So yeah, so I think that's what we're going to be doing. Oh, if I would have been wearing a different shirt, I have a choker just like the one that's in the picture here. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take a wash of, okay, let's take this one. we're going to take a wash of a tan line. So this is the lightest one. So we're going to do that first. And then I think on the outer edge, we'll add a little bit of the Sweet Marie. So right now I'm just going to take this really floofy brush here. Nice color. This is a very nice blending shade. So this is good for setting your eye primer or foundation or concealer or whatever you may use on your eyes, or just if you want to even out the color. So it is a very light skin tone shade on me. And then I'm going to take another brush and then I'm going to go in to the darker shade here, and that's the one again that is Sweet Marie, and I'm going to do that lid. I want to keep it a little bit closer, I think, or do I want to do the whole lid? No, we're going to do the whole mobile lid. So this is definitely going to be an easy peasy video and makeup look for today. I was going to get all dressed up, but since my other plans are just to lounge, I'm just wearing a hoodie dress today. I did dress up yesterday and had my hair in a little roll. If I remember, I'll pop up a photo. I went to the vintage market. I thought I could get dressed up a little bit. And then since I hurt my foot, I had to wear sandals. So the only thing that went with sandals would be a summer dress. So there we go. So I'm going to go back with that original fluffy brush that I had. Take a little bit more of tan line. Just to blend out the edge. There we go. And then we're going to put on a little shimmer. I think we are going to use Makeup Party. This is like this peachy shade. And I'm just going to, I mean, the shimmer quality now is probably way better than it was back in the day. And probably not as blingy, but there we go. We also are going to have some eyeliner on. So that's going to take a little bit of the effect away, I think. And then for the brow bone, I'm going to add a little bit white as well up along the top here. Just to... Okay, so now let's play with a eyeliner and do a winged look. I've got here one from Juvia's Place. And see how they didn't have it as a crazy wing, so let's try for now about here. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks, I think that's the right amount. Yeah, that works. And just make sure we got it nice and opaque. Alrighty, so then we're going to go for the other side. This is my more droopy eye, so it's a little bit harder to match. They probably, I would assume they would have used a pot liner versus in a brush versus using a pen. And then this, oh, that looks nicer though. I'm going to say, I think I did this one a little bit higher. That is more the traditional, so I'm going to play with my little spongy sponge, and we're going to fix that. Yeah, that's why it's hard with one eye that really is really droopy. It's hard to match up sometimes. Okay, but I'm almost there, I think. Yeah, there we go. Let's match it a little bit together. I think that looks matched up in a scrunched sort of way. There we go. And then of course we're going to want some mascara. And then all the information as per usual came from Glamour Days. I did look at a few other articles and things on 1950s, but I just seem to really like the research and everything that Glamour Days does into it. And they're all, of course, they're all about vintage and retro. So I pretty much trust what they have to say. And, all right, you know what? I'm going to go get a little vintage earrings. And they never, I always love putting hair flowers in my hair, but I don't think that was a 1950s thing. So I'm going to go put some earrings in, some cute little vintage earrings in, and then we will come back and finish off with our look. we go. I put on my little pearl, some little vintage earrings, and now it's time for our final step. Let's put on some lipstick here. So again, this was from Max Factor. You can't get Max Factor here in Canada. Apparently there was some drama, or in North America, so I had to order this through Amazon, and this is the Marilyn Ruby Red. And there we go. So and this is a really, really beautiful, beautiful red. So we are going to do that. This is a very balmy lipstick. It does take me a few coats to get it nice and even and get a nice shape, but it's a really pretty color. And the lipsticks smell great. She, my makeup twin, our makeup twin, name twin, she went to the Max Factor, I think it was like a museum in LA or something. But anyways, there we go. This is our 1950s look. Does it look even slightly close to this gal here? I like it. This is a look that I would go to, of course, with a proper summer dress on, or a peasant blouse and skirt that I would, or beach pajamas where I would go out to a pinup event or just to summer markets or whatever. So there we go. There's our look. There's our quick foray into the 1950s. So if you like this video, please give a like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe even hit that notification bell. If not, that's okay. We can still be friends and do makeup through the decades. As always, behave, make good choices, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.